Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a setup for my friend's bullet journal and also a flip through of the entire spreads at the end. I'm starting to integrate more washi tape and paper into my spreads in order to have some more layering and variety. So for the future log, I'm creating a header with washi tape and then using some acrylographs as well as these sticky note cutouts in order to create the months. The bullet journal that I'm creating in this video is for one of my dear friends, and I'm trying to incorporate as many of her favorite themes as I can into the January to May spreads. I actually originally wanted to create January to June for this bullet journal, but I started only about 2 months ago and I could only finish about 5 months, so up to May, before December was over. I created a mishmash of a lot of different kinds of spreads in this bullet journal for her to try out so that she can let me know what works for her, and then when I create her next bullet journal from June until December, then I hope to be able to adapt that to her needs. The plan would be to give myself more than 2 months worth of time for the next bullet journal so that I can actually slow down and record the making of each of the spreads so that I can share that with you guys instead of this time around where I really had to rush. Because I was rushing so much, I'll only be able to show you all just bits and pieces of some of the spreads that I was working on because I actually didn't get a chance to film that much, and I kind of worked all over the place, jumping from month to month and spread to spread, so it wasn't really in chronological order. So please forgive me that this video is a bit disorganized. Here I am painting in watercolor a mushroom Dutch door. I wanted to create a magical forest fairyscape type of scene to match the cover of this bullet journal. I usually like to start off the setup of the spreads in my bullet journals with a theme that matches whatever bullet journal that I'm using. Of the spreads that I created in this bullet journal, this one wasn't one of my favorites. I think it was because that I wasn't quite feeling the forest kind of theme when I was creating this, as it was sometime in November or December that I was working on this, and it was snowy and cold, and I was more so feeling inspired by the winter snowy aesthetic. I find that when I'm creating my spreads, I'm very much affected by what I feel inspired by, and if I go against that feeling, then my spreads don't turn out as nice as I would hope. So this one is a bit below my expectations, but in the end I still think it turned out rather cute. Sometime later I'll probably attempt a spread that is similar to this again, then we'll see if I can make it better. I've also started using stamps sometimes instead of always doing the lettering by hand, and you can see that I messed up here on the E, and so I decided to stamp onto this sticky note pad that's made of craft paper and then cut them out and glue them on. For this January calendar, I actually finished most of it before I hit record, so I'm just showing you the acrylograph lettering that I'm doing for the numbers on this clock. For this April cover page, I wanted to create some splatter clouds, so I'm just adding some watercolor onto this plastic sheet and then pressing it onto the paper. Afterwards, I smooth out some of the edges with a damp brush so that the edges are not as hard. I wanted a more soft look. Here I'm using a white acrylograph pen for the underside of the whale, and then outlining the borders with a dark blue acrylograph pen for some contrast. I'm using these circle sticky notes to create some smaller hot air balloons. these acrylograph pens during a Black Friday sale from Archer and Olive. I've been really enjoying using them to add highlights to my artwork in my bullet journal, as well as using them for lettering. They have excellent coverage, they dry really quickly, and the colors are just gorgeous. The friend that I'm creating this bullet journal for actually sent me a surprise Christmas present this year, which included the Flourish set of acrylographs, and I made sure to use those colors in this bullet journal. I'm adding a lot of self-care, mental health, and physical health spreads to her bullet journal because improving her overall health and well-being is one of her biggest goals for 2023. For the May calendar, I tried something different where I just did a very simple green watercolor background. Then I drew the outline for the calendar with acrylographs. Afterwards, I didn't really plan from there and just decided to fill in the empty spaces with whatever came to mind. This is a prime example of how I approach my artwork and creating my spreads. It's just that I tend to only start with a general main idea and then mostly improvise. One of the good things about this is that I find it very freeing and allows me to just fully embrace my creativity. But one of the bad things is that there's no guarantee as to how whatever I'm working on will turn out. Sometimes it works really well, but sometimes what I'm creating clashes and is a bit messy. But I think that's all part of the creative process, and the more that I practice, the more that I explore, I think the more that my artwork will come together. For this month's calendar, I decided to fill in some of these empty spaces here with some simple floral doodles. I also added an area for notes and some events, and also some space for goals. I created a variety of Dutch doors in this bullet journal for her so that she can try it out and see which kind of format she likes best. I've been doing the same in my own bullet journal. So far, I find that I really like Dutch doors because they help to separate each month so that it's very easy to flip to them, and I find that they're very interesting to look at, and it also helps me to be able to focus on various aspects of the spreads that I want to see all month. For example, sometimes I will have the habit trackers on the side that I can see no matter which week I'm in, or I want a quote that I want to look at all month. Plus, overall, I just think they're really fun to make and really fun to use, and just make me want to use my bullet journal even more. As mentioned earlier at the beginning of this video, I have started adding more paper cutouts or ripped paper as well as washi tape to my spreads to give my spreads more of a scrapbook feel, and I find that adding this kind of texture and color and variety just makes it more interesting. The more I experiment, the more I find that my style is a bit extra. So I tend to like to add more things. More is more, basically. I've tried exploring the minimalistic style, which I honestly do like looking at in other people's spread, but in my own bullet journal, if I make it minimalistic and not artistic, I find that I tend to lose interest and not end up using my bullet journal. So I actually do need to fill it with lots of artwork, with lots of stimuli, so that it keeps me interested. But that's not a style that works for everyone, and it's definitely not a requirement to put art in your bullet journal. So I hope no one feels pressured to make their bullet journal artistic because of what they see on social media. Just do what works for you. And as you can see, a whole lot of chaotic art is what works for me, and we'll see if that's what works for my friend as well. Here I'm creating the weeklies for May using some Tombow brush pens, stamps, and cutouts of craft paper sticky notes, as well as some acrylographs for the numbering. Now for a flip through. much for watching. I really appreciate the support. Please consider liking and subscribing. See you soon!